Hello and welcome, and in this video we're going to look at the idea of cell division, and in particular we're going to look at mitosis. And mitosis is when normal body cells reproduce, and by body cells I mean all cells in the body apart from the sex cells. So muscle cells, skin cells and so on, all these cells I will refer to as body cells, but sperm cells and egg cells are not referred to as body cells. They are actually called the sex cells, and there's a different thing that happens in order to produce those. But for now we're looking at body cells, and we're looking at mitosis, so how the cell will reproduce by mitosis or divide by mitosis. Now there's two reasons why mitosis happens. The first one is for growth. So ever since a person is a single cell, or from the point when the person is a single cell, the cells divide in order to grow, and that growth is as a result of this process called mitosis. Now the second reason is for replacement cells. So if you fall over and graze yourself, you've damaged the skin cells, so you'll need to replace those. And also every day your skin cells are falling off your body all the time. You don't realize it, but they are, and they constantly need replacing as well, and that is also by mitosis. There is a third reason, which is related to asexual reproduction. That is the third scenario, but we're not going to look at that in particular. The main reason here we're looking at are for growth and replacement of cells. Now overall the process is quite straightforward and quite simple. You have one single cell over here, and that will then divide to produce two, and those two can each then divide and they will produce four. And as you can imagine, if the process carried on going, you'd have more and more and more cells. Now the key issue behind this is that while we do have new cells being produced, each cell has to have a full set of the different parts that it needs to function, and in particular it will also need a full set of the DNA for each new cell that is produced. So let's have a look at that in slightly more detail. So here we have a cell, and inside that cell, if we look inside the nucleus, pull that out, have a look inside, we have these structures called chromosomes. That's an important keyword that you must remember. So we have these structures called chromosomes, and in this particular example of a cell, I've got two sets, two long and two short. So it's two sets of chromosomes there, four altogether, and that's what they roughly look like. Now a point to make here, which is probably quite important, is that normally the DNA in the cell looks like a great big long string. It's actually a molecule that is a bit like a long piece of string, but most of the time it's in this stringy formation. But while the cell is divided by mitosis, it coils itself up into these things called chromosomes. Now every new cell that is made will have to have exactly the same number of chromosomes inside its nucleus, and this is how it does it. If we pull these chromosomes out and just deal with what's going on with the chromosomes, and we'll just take away the nucleus in the cell for the moment just to simplify things, we're just looking at the chromosomes. The first thing that needs to happen really is that we need to have a copy of each one of these chromosomes so that the new cell can have its own copy. So that's the first thing that happens. What we say is the genetic material copies itself. Okay, so you can see that each one of these chromosomes has made a copy of itself, so there is now a full set that can be found in each of the new cell. The chromosome we also actually refer to, I just said there, we refer to that as genetic material or DNA. So first stage is we've got the genetic material or the chromosomes. They've reproduced themselves, or they've made a copy of themselves, and that means each new cell can have a set of those chromosomes. Okay, so here we go. Each new cell can have a set of those chromosomes. So the chromosomes have moved apart away from each other, and each new cell is now able to have a full set of those chromosomes, a full set of the DNA. So if I just tidy that up a bit over here, okay, you can see there's one set over here and one set over here. So if I was to just draw back in the nucleus here, we have our original nucleus that I've drawn from there. Here the nucleus will start to split into two, and here we now have two completely separate nucleuses or nuclei, and if I was then to put the rest of the cell all back in place, that's what you would see. So you'd have each new cell has a full set of the chromosomes that we originally started off with. So the original cell, we call that the parent cell. Each parent cell had too long, too short, and you can see that each new cell here has too long, too short as well. Now you're not required for this specification to know the specific individual details and the steps of mitosis. In actual fact, it says here knowledge and understanding of the stages in mitosis and meiosis is not required. So I have given you a little outline of the stages, but the key thing that you need to know and remember is that from the parent cell, each new cell, these are called the daughter cells, has the same number and type of chromosomes as the parent. So we've got too long, too short, and each new daughter cell has too long, too short, and there you can see that in the cells there. Okay, so that's the main and key point that you must know and remember. The last thing I really want to go through is to give you an appreciation of the sizes of the different types of structure and parts that we've been talking about. So here we have a little sequence of different parts. At the left hand side here we have the chromosomes. So the chromosomes are the smallest out of the structures I'm going to talk about. Here is the nucleus, and this is the cell. So the chromosomes fit inside the nucleus, and the nucleus would then fit inside the cell, and the cell, the next largest structure, would then actually reproduce itself as we've discussed, and that could then go on to produce tissues as we've discussed in the previous video, and that can then go off to make organs and organ systems. Okay, so that's just to give you an idea of the different size, or the order of size of the different structures that we've been referring to over the last couple of videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.